Our SEC Media Days coverage continues from the Omni in Dallas. Day 2 today as we record this, brought to you by our friends at MyBookie.ag.
Yeah, code next round when you sign on at MyBookie.ag. Get that sign-on bonus. Bet anything, anytime, anywhere. MyBookie.ag, code next round. MyBookie.ag, code next round. This man is known by a lot of names, published reports, elsewhere reported by sometimes, but he is actually Brett McMurphy, the Action Network. Welcome in, Brett. How are you?
Good to be with you guys.
Yeah.
It's kind of weird. SEC Media Days here in Dallas. Next year back to Atlanta, but yeah, great setup here, and excited to be here.
Is it officially back to Atlanta, or are you breaking that on our show?
I did.
That's what you do.
I broke it 30 minutes before Sankey announced it. I think he gets pissed because last year I broke that they were coming to Dallas before he stepped up to the podium, and hopefully next year I'll break in Atlanta where they're going to be the following.
Well, you got to see where the All-Star game is, because the All-Star game's here, and then it's in Atlanta and that same weekend next year. So
I know who they're talking to, and that city will not host the All-Star game. So just a little hint for you there. But
Shout out Nashville.
If you do want to break something, though, so Florida State fans felt like they were snubbed, although Jordan Travis wasn't playing. They didn't get into a college football playoff. They would have gotten wiped if they would have. But Florida State getting snubbed again?
Yeah, I just think, I reported, this morning for Action Network that basically Florida State and Clemson, if they get out and the ACC stays intact, the Big Ten and the SEC do not want them. I mean, I can't get any simpler than that. I talked to over a dozen people, university presidents, conference personnel, athletic directors, consultants. Everyone said the same thing. It wasn't like 75% said this, 25%. No, 100%. They do not want Florida State or Clemson. They don't want Florida State because it doesn't make sense financially to bring them in. As far as the Big Ten, they got Oregon and Washington for 50 cents on the dollar to come in to join USC and UCLA. Florida State doesn't add anything for them. Also, people kind of, people scoff at everything on Twitter, but they were kind of like, part of the reason I reported was because the Big Ten doesn't view Florida State as someone they can trust. They're a disruptive force. They don't want to bring that type of partner into the league, and that's the university presidents talking. We may kind of dismiss that, but the fact that Florida State's suing the ACC, they accused former Commissioner John Swofford of, kind of rigging the TV deal to help his son. They brought the Attorney General on board. They're doing all these different things. Schools leave conferences all the time. OU and Texas did it. There's a right way to do it, and then the way they look at it, there's the way Florida State did it. And so, guys, what this means is if the ACC, again, if they stay intact, I don't know what they do or where they go. They didn't leave the ACC to go to the Big 12, and I'm an Oklahoma State guy, so I can talk trash about my own conference. There's no way they're leaving to do that. Their best chance is if they get out. We have to see what happens with all the lawsuits. If they get out at a low number and that allows everybody else to do a conga line out the door, then they'll end up in the SEC or the Big Ten, because then the Big Ten goes to 20, the SEC goes to 20. Whoever is left over after that goes to the Big 12. They go to 20, and then we're down to 3 power leagues.
Wow. I mean, that's a lot of dominoes that have to fall there, though, on their part.
But it could. I mean, you go back a couple of years, and who would have thought the Big Ten would add those 4?
That's right.
Who would have thought OU and Texas would be in the SEC? So it's just things get sped up a lot more now. But, yeah, I think, guys, in the next 3 or 4 years that we'll probably see one more shift.
When you break stories, just in general, because people follow you and they know when you break these stories, how oftentimes do the people you're breaking stories on end up getting mad at you that you broke the story? Does that ever happen, that you break a story and they're like, oh, dude, I can't believe you beat everybody to the punch?
You're talking about the individuals that are reporting
the people
about?
The people that are involved in the
like
story.
in this case, Michael Alford.
Yeah.
And Michael's, full disclosure, Michael's a friend of ours.
He's a friend of
I know.
mine.
We've known Michael for a long time, for those that don't know, athletic director at FSU.
Yeah, and I'm not trying to flame throw Florida State. It's just there was such a narrative out there that Florida State's a done deal to the Big Ten, and everyone I talked to would tell me the exact opposite, and that's basically where I got to the point where I've got to report this.
Yeah. Right.
And so, I have not talked to Michael today, but I've talked to somebody that's close to him, and they're like, look, Brett, we don't like it, but what you report is accurate.
Right.
So sometimes you do. It's more a reaction like, when it gets out, it's what they thought was private, which is so funny because I've told people this before. When myself and other reporters break stuff, there's usually a dozen people that already know this. It's not like it's very rarely you're the only one that knows this. And so basically you're just putting out what a bunch of people already know. And so usually they don't get mad. They're just mad that sometimes their laundry is out there for everybody to see, and they want to keep it quiet. You
talked about you're an Oklahoma State guy, and I want to get your perspective on this because him and I disagree. I think Mike Gundy has done a great job. Now, the record against Oklahoma has been trash, but I'm just talking about the job that is Oklahoma State. From an Oklahoma State fan, though, do you think that Mike Gundy in his, 17 years, whatever that number is, has done a good job?
He's done an incredible job because, again, everything is what have you done for me lately? So people look back, well, you didn't have a lot of success against Oklahoma. By the way, Oklahoma State has won 2 of the last 3 against the Sooners, and they're probably never going to play again, at least not in the next 20 years. Oklahoma State won the last Bedlam. And, people that are young don't realize before Gundy, Oklahoma State was a train wreck. They really were. They went through Bob Simmons. I'm not going to bring up these names because nobody's heard of them, but that's who the coaches were. I mean, give Les Miles some credit. He was there a couple years and kind of turned the tide a little bit, and then Gundy took over for Les. But before that, Oklahoma State was pretty much a laughingstock in the Big 8, and Gundy has had it's 18 or 19 consecutive winning seasons. We're not talking about 6 and 6. Consecutive winning seasons, which ranks, I think, 6th all time in the history of college football at one school. We're talking about, Nick Saban's on this list and Bobby Bowden, and, there's some big names on here. Ultimately he's got to get to the college football playoff. And I was at Big 12 Media Days in Vegas last week, and I asked Alan Bowman, their quarterback, and basically said, do you guys need to get to the college football playoff to validate his career? Because he's won a Big 12 championship. He's beat Oklahoma recently. They have not got to the college football playoff. Oklahoma State fans will be quick to point out that they got screwed the year against Iowa State. They missed field goal, sets up LSU and Alabama in the BCS title game, which ironically got us the 4-team playoff because everybody's like, no more all SEC title games. So, I think he's done a great job there. Now with no OU in Texas, it'll be fascinating to see if Oklahoma State or any school can kind of take over that mantle, if you will. But I think at least this year, the Big 12 is going to be the most wildest, most fascinating conference in the country. And people ask me, who do you think is going to win the league? I'm like, it's quicker for me to name the schools that I think won't win the league. Cincinnati, Houston, BYU, Texas Tech, Arizona State, Baylor. So there's 6. So the other 10, you name a team, I could make a case they could win it. That's how open it's going to be. That's the good news. Bad news is the Big 12 probably won't get to in the playoff because the runner-up is going to have 3 or 4 losses.
So there are a lot of times, though, Mike Gundy is almost like a TV or movie character that you portray as a head coach. Is that the way he is in real life, or is that just like some sort of media image?
No, that's him. I mean, he's as he's gotten older, we're several years from the I'm a man, I'm a 40.
Right,
I'm 40 now. He's over 50. He speaks his mind. And I don't want to say he doesn't care what people think, but he doesn't care what people think. And he was at media days, and we were having a back and forth with him, and somebody mentioned, what's it like coaching with Kyle Whittingham? He's 64 years old, and Mike's like, 64, and he goes, yeah, Kyle told us he's 64, and he goes, Kyle must have forgot his age. Was he on that debate last week? Yeah. So. Oh, wow. He's got some good one-liners, and he's comfortable in his own skin. He's going to be him.
Does he drink cold beer?
Me.
I'm kidding.
Sure.
Oh, yeah. I believe he alerted us
He
to that.
lives on a ranch. He hunts rattlesnakes. He, bales hay. I mean, he does all this stuff. Yeah, he's
His house was on
comfortable
Zillow. It looks like a Bass Pro Shop.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's selling it because all his 3 sons have now moved
Right.
out, so they got to downsize. So he's not like looking to move somewhere else. And also, I think he's finally comfortable in Stillwater. He's tried to leave. Going back. He's talked to Tennessee. He's talked to Arkansas. I think LSU may have been in play at some point in the past, but now I think he's kind of realized, hey, this is the best place for me. He's got what he wants there in Stillwater, and now can he deliver a playoff for the Pokes?
What's the impact of Bobby Petrino being back in this league, in the SEC?
I was at Mountain West Media Days, also in Vegas, and got the chance to talk to Barry Odom, who's very familiar with the Arkansas program. He was there, and I asked him specifically about Petrino because Petrino was his offensive coordinator at UNLV for about 30 seconds until Arkansas came in and offered him the job. He goes, Brett, I think Bobby is worth 3 or 4 wins for Arkansas.
3 or 4.
He goes, he's the best mind in college football. And I mean, we can joke about all the off-field stuff and the motorcycle and all that, but bottom line is the guy's an incredible.
Your best tweet.
Yeah,
ever.
this is the best
Oh
tweet
yeah,
ever.
you remember that?
Yeah. Oh yeah, we reference it all the time.
Yeah.
Yes.
And the thing is, it's still good now. As
Oh, I know.
Oh,
I know.
yeah.
I still laugh
Hey,
at
you
it.
know
when
what's
I think
great for him to be back in Fayetteville though, and Sam Pittman is
how
obviously on a hot
desperate
seat.
are they to bring him
Yeah.
back?
Well, so should we be prepared? Like if the offense is better, but they're losing games, that Bobby Petrino is the next Arkansas head coach?
I don't know if they would go there. I mean, I think that,
They're already paying him.
they're already paying him. We'll have to find out. See how the season goes. If it did open up, I think Barry Odom would be a automatic candidate. You look at Rhett Lashley, who's from the state of Arkansas. How do they do their first year in the ACC? Certainly, that would be somebody they would look to. And yeah, I think Bobby would get some consideration, especially if we see a huge jump with the offense.
We always hear about ADs keeping 5 names in their upper right-hand drawer in case they have to change coaches. I mean, you just started rattling off really legitimate candidates for that Arkansas job. Do you keep a working list on every hot seat job out there just in case it happens all of a sudden?
I don't, but some of these just make so much sense. And that's why, I love Action Network, but if somebody wants to hire me to be a consultant for these search firms, that's just like printing money because you're just like, well, the top candidates are da-da-da. And it's like all of us here could tell you
Exactly.
these are the top candidates. So, yeah, but it's funny. I've talked to ADs about do you keep a list? And some ADs say yes. Jack Swarbrick, who's no longer at Notre Dame, actually had a unique way of doing it. He said, Brett, I don't keep a list because the job can change during the season, and the candidate at the start of the year may not be the hot candidate at the end of the year. So he basically just starts from scratch. Obviously, he made a great hire with Brian Kelly, and then Marcus Freeman takes over. So it is funny, but now, Jim, one difference is now with NIL, now with the signing day being moved up, I've had people suggest that a lot of these interviews now aren't in person like they used to be. They're on Zoom. Is that going to – not that that's going to – you can't tell how somebody is on Zoom, but because you don't have the personal interaction, are some of these schools maybe hiring guys that they don't fully know, and maybe we get a couple years down the road and they regret it because it's not like even 2 or 3 years ago where you would fly to a guy or meet him halfway in an airport or something. Now you've got to do something so quick because you've got to save your class. You've got to get your recruit because signing days, backed up into December and all that. So I think that's something to keep an eye on.
I think Greg Byrne gave himself 72 hours is what he said.
He goes in and tells the team, guys, give me 48 hours, 72 hours, whatever it is. Just don't do anything. Give me that. And he's,
scrambling. He put a clock on it.
Yeah.
It's why I don't think you'll ever see colleges hiring NFL coaches anymore.
Because they have to
Well,
wait.
you can't.
You got to wait that too long. Yeah.
Unless there's just this perfect fit.
Yeah.
That but then it's gonna be you're gonna have to announce in December that hey, we're hiring this NFL coach after January when he's done, and of course the NFL
Yeah,
It's
they're
not
like-
going to like. They're gonna, what do you mean?
That's it. You just go ahead and
Yeah,
go
Of
now.
course, you could pull another Bobby Petrino. He left in the middle of the night, right?
Left notes for everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Another Bobby Petrino.
That's right. Brett is going to play our silly game here.
Yeah. Tell us about Wayne's as we work our way over there.
Yeah, we're gonna. Well, first of all, let's. What's it got here? Let's unveil the game.
This is for being on the show.
Oh,
There's
wow.
let's see what's in it.
Yep.
It's ticking.
It is not ticking.
We would do that to you.
What's this?
You can just
what's
tear
this
the
white
envelope.
powder in here?
See what we have
What's
here.
Brett have?
Oh,
Olive
Garden.
That's right.
Yeah.
You a big consumer of the Olive Garden?
My daughter is. She will love this.
Okay.
All right,
Yeah,
perfect.
Absolutely.
Okay.
All right, we've got more. Wayne's is bringing you part of our coverage here in Dallas. And don't forget that you can say goodbye to unwanted guests and all the pests in your house. Take care of the termite control. They take care of all my yards and everything right there at Wayne. Call 866-WAYNES-1, 866-WAYNES-1, or visit callwaynes.com. Trust Wayne's Pest Control for quality service 24/7. Proud supporters of the SEC. 866-WAYNES-1.
So I don't know if you remember the grand prize game, Bozo, Cookie.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is kind of like that. It's supposed to be beer pong, but it's supposed to be played on the beach. So what we're going to do is you get 2 shots, and you can use either the bucket ball or the hacky sacks,
Hacky
which I
sack.
think are the better weight. But it's completely up to you. 2 shots. You make one. There is money in each bucket in an envelope. So
Cash prizes.
Yeah.
Got it.
Carpet pays you 0.
Yep.
That's right.
So whatever you hit, you get. You get 2 shots. So you can.
Let me. I'll go with the bounce.
Okay.
Okay.
Although it's a bigger. No, I got to go. My head says the bigger one.
Yeah.
My brain says smaller.
Watching.
That's right.
It's like the WNBA. It's a smaller ball. It goes in.
Hey, whatever you're comfortable with, but watching people do this, it seems like there's more success with the toss than the underhand.
Really?
Yeah.
And I know that.
I'm an underhand guy.
Okay. Hey, whatever.
It's also like the WNBA that 5 people are watching this. So go
Rick
ahead.
Barrett. Caitlin Clark. They are now 35 or watching.
With backspin.
Off the
Who
rim.
rushes the second.
Oh, man. So close.
It's been a slow day.
And like the WNBA, I just missed 2 layers.
He is Brett McMurphy. Follow him with the Action Network. As he just did, he breaks a lot of news there at Brett_McMurphy, at Brett_McMurphy, part of the Action Network. Brett, thank you very much for the time. Always good to see you.
Enjoyed it, man.
Yeah,
That's
thank you.
great.
Our coverage in Dallas presented by MyBookie.ag. Code next round. MyBookie.ag. Code next round.